And happy Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Do not forget, make your plans to be with us July 14th through the 16th, Ardmore, Oklahoma, for the Preterist Pilgrim Weekend 2016. We're trying to get some final details nailed down for an exciting announcement, so be watching and listening for that. But make your plans to be with us. This is really going to be a good Preterist Pilgrim Weekend on the shortcomings of the amillennial view of eschatology. Okay, we're looking at the nature of the kingdom. And we're sort of kind of based on Ezekiel chapter 37. And Paul's commentary on that in the New Testament, and specifically 2 Corinthians chapter 3 through into chapter 7. Now, Ezekiel was promised a covenant of peace. As we have seen, it's the parallel prophecy of Jeremiah chapter 31, 29 and following. And Jeremiah said that the promised new covenant would not be like the old. Well, if the covenant would not be like the old, that means the kingdom would not be like the old. And several of you have contacted me asking me to explicate just a little bit more, and more specifically, some of those distinctions, because these distinctions and these differences strike at the very heart of the nature of the kingdom. For instance, under the Old Covenant, the Old Kingdom, the kingdom was geocentric, specifically defined borders of land. That is not true under the New Covenant. Jesus' kingdom is this world. All authority has been given to me in heaven and in earth. Matthew chapter 28. The Old Covenant had a specific, geographically confined, physical city. The writer of Hebrews chapter 12 says in that chapter that you have come to the heavenly Jerusalem, the one that was about to come down from God out of heaven. Physical city, spiritual, heavenly city. The Old Covenant kingdom had a physical temple. Peter said, you then as living stones are being built up a spiritual temple. Paul said to the church at Corinth, you are the temple of God. And by the way, we'll get more on this later, he says, you are the temple of God as it is written, and he quotes from Ezekiel 37. Again, more on that later. The Old Covenant kingdom, the Old Covenant temple and city had literal, physical animal sacrifices. What kind of sacrifices are in this new covenant, different kingdom? Well, Hebrews 13:16. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise, that is the fruit of our lips, unto him. This is liturgical language of priests offering a sacrifice. Under the Old Covenant kingdom, they had literal physical circumcision to be recognized as a covenant member in that kingdom. Under the New Covenant, the circumcision is the circumcision of the heart. Colossians chapter 2, verse 11. These are dramatic differences in the very nature of the kingdom promised in Ezekiel chapter 37. Now, look, people want to say God was only going to make that covenant with literal physical Israel, but this overlooks something. One of the stark contrasts. Under the Old Covenant kingdom, foreigners were excluded. Deuteronomy chapter 23 and other passages as well. Those who were not of Israel, those who were not of the 12 tribes, were not allowed into the temple. Paul, writing to the Corinthians, watch this, says to the church at Corinth, comprised of both pagans and those who came out of the synagogue, but he said to those obviously pagans, foreigners. Remember, Paul says that you were at one time Gentiles. Wait a minute. Could they change their ethnicity? No. But they could certainly change their standing before God. Once they were Gentiles outside of covenant relationship, outside the temple, outside the city, so to speak, but now in Christ, they are the temple of the living God. And all men are invited to be a part of and to dwell in this temple of God. You see, these contrasts are amazing. And there's not one thing that is geocentric, that is literal, that is physical about this kingdom. Are we physical human beings? Certainly we are, but we are spiritual members of the spiritual kingdom. And there's not a word in the New Testament, or anywhere else for that matter, that tells us that God went from the physical kingdom to the spiritual kingdom, but one day He will return to a physical, literal temple. That is imaginary. It is a theological fabrication. Listen, get a copy of my book, The New Covenant, Fulfilled or Future. You'll be absolutely amazed at the evidence that points to the reality we have the New Covenant, and the New Covenant has created a spiritual kingdom. And we've got more on the flip side, so we'll see you there.